Sorare in the States football. Here are your hosts, the Taco Slayer Jorge and MLS card guy Chris.
Welcome to the Sorare in the States podcast. MLS starts in 5 days, y'all, and it feels like it's been a while, but we're here and things are different. I think maybe not that different, but as always, Chris, the MLS card guy, here to talk about it, and on this super special episode to talk about all the things we need to bring on the professionals to figure out the true value of talent of these MLS players that we have. Harry, Trades, and Fedo. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, very, very pleasant to be on, and really excited to talk about some footy, about the best league in the world, even if people don't say that, but it is. And it's just, you gotta love the MLS.
Hey, listen, it's a true DGen sicko league. It's perfect for Sorare. It's perfect for all of us. We love it. We got Quinny in the chat.
Wow,
Here
what a
we
legend.
go. Legends. J Vic in the house, as always. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna have some fun. On the surface, right? There's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of confusion, a lot of I don't know what to do, what it is. Harry, you're a friend of the show. Everybody loves you. Everybody knows you. You've been on before, right? Before I kind of jumped on the reins. I think
I think I went on
a couple times.
Yeah, with Nashi maybe. Yeah, a couple of times, and obviously Chris. Yeah.
Well, so in that case, I'm gonna start off with Fedo, my main friend right here. Tell me about your gallery. Tell me about your MLS and why you love it so much.
Brother, it's a long story, brother. So the first time I actually dipped my toes into the MLS was because of Sorare, and thanks to Sorare, I'm probably the biggest MLS sicko in Europe, probably, like not even lying. And it's just absolutely amazing, and I fell in love with the competitiveness of this league, like not because they're all good, but they're all same shit. So it's like playing
Parody.
everybody can win the game. That's just what I love it. And especially if you're used to like Bundesliga, Premier League, and Serie A, which I normally watch, it gets really refreshing that you have a Philly against New York City, which on paper should be equal, and it's gonna be a madness of a game. And it's just nicer to watch, and I found it more funny and more entertaining than, for example, watching Juventus play a Sassuolo at home. That's just a boring game. So that's why I fell in love with the MLS. And then I fell in love with so many players whose cards I have, and it's crazy, man. I ordered I didn't know that. I wouldn't have done that if I would have known. I have authentic Tati Castellanos New York City shirt still.
Nice.
And
Bring
I
them back.
paid that. Yeah, I paid that. I think $280 because it's the authentic and blah blah blah. So your prices are crazy over there in the US.
It's the worst.
And then on top
Only
of
getting
that,
worse too.
it's getting worse, brother. And on top of that,
Someone's
I didn't
gonna
know
pay
that.
Messi.
I had to pay customs. So this is by far the most expensive shirt I ever bought in my life. So I had to pay like another £200 on customs on top of it. So that's like £500, $500.
So
worth
let me
of
ask you this: was it worth?
Yeah.
It? Was it?
Yes, it was worth it.
100% worth it.
I love Tati, and
Do it again.
especially this orange jersey from New York City is like so cool.
Mm.
I love that. That's
Someone with like the
so,
blue kind of like lightning bolts
Exactly.
or something like that. Yeah,
Exactly. The orange one with the blue lightning one. Yeah, with the Tati, authentic one. And yeah, one day I will meet Tati and he has to sign it. So that's the goal.
So I love that you mentioned that MLS is like this crazy league where like any week anything can happen. Same kind of applies year to year, right? So like Cincinnati
Yes.
was obviously very good last year. Austin was not very good last year. Who's to say Austin doesn't finish higher than Cincinnati this year? It's a crazy thing where, you know, I mean, you have your Bayer Leverkusens every once in a while, your Gironas pop up every once in a while, but on the whole, Bayern Munich, PSG, those teams are gonna really dominate over there.
Exactly.
So who's the breakout team? And I want one from each of you guys. Who's the breakout team this year that was not higher than, you know, didn't host a playoff game last year, let's say, so like fifth or lower? Who's going to finish the highest this year?
Let me
Start
have a
with
look
Harry.
let me have a look at the table
Think-
first from last
like
year.
my two breakout teams, I think Dallas played playoffs. I know that. I don't know if Galaxy played playoffs, but I'm quite not sure exactly they didn't. So I would say both from the West, but I think Dallas and Galaxy are going to have a good season. I had a long talk with a good friend of ours, Nashi, about Galaxy, and we
He's
both agree.
sold.
Yeah,
He's sold on the Galaxy.
he's sold on Galaxy, but we both agree that the first 5 to 6 games they will probably suck and lose all 5 games, and then they will get into the groove. And yeah, the other one in the East I like the most, which has the most potential underdog. I'm a bit biased as well. Could be New York City because I just love Julian Fernandez and I think he's so good. He's gonna be so crucial to this game. And I like Matt Freeze and Thiago Martins. They give stability to the whole defense. I saw that in the last games of last year. That was a completely different New York City. I hate Nick Cushing though. He's bad. So bad. They really need a new coach. And then I think they have quite good talent. I'm excited to see the Serbian kid. I don't know why he came so late to the party, but I'm actually excited to see him. He's supposed to be very good. Like lots of big tier names wanted to have him. Bayer Leverkusen really wanted to have him. Bayern Munich as well. I know that as a fact because I know people working there. So I'm excited to see how he's gonna do in the MLS. I think it could be great for him. We just need to check what's going on in the MLS at the moment because I think the MLS is a perfect league for transitioning to a better league and to show
Stepping stone.
what you're able to do, especially for like young players like Almada, also Jesus Ferreira. I don't think Jesus Ferreira will ever leave, but Almada, Alvaro Barreal or whatever, because sometimes you give them so much more space than in a league like Serie A or Premier League. In Bundesliga, you also have space, but and there they can really show the talent, and that's what I love as well. But we have to be attention because in somehow like Almada is still at Atlanta. I can't understand that. Like,
Yeah,
No one can.
Yeah, it's a wild one, isn't it?
same as Faku, but I think Faku now starts to get on the route of Jesus that he's gonna stay at Orlando for the next 4 years, basically. Life is too good, man. You earn good money. You earn good money. You live in the States. You play football 6 months a year.
and the only people that are paid are the attackers. The defenders
Exactly.
all suck.
Yeah.
You know,
And you get to live next to Disney
Yeah.
World. Come on.
Yeah,
It's
man,
great.
and you can go to the Caribbean every weekend. You can go hop down to Trinidad or Jamaica or whatever and party, basically.
Yeah,
So
that's
all we
I'm
do.
trying to find the striker for NYCFC. I don't know his name.
Oh, Bakrar?
Yeah,
Back-
but-
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a Serbian. Yeah, Tom Bogert was talking about him. I was literally just watching a video last night. He was like, this guy could be. He's going through like top, wonder kids or whatever. He's like, this dude could be like the best player in this league potentially. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah,
No
I'm also
chance.
like,
No
I
chance.
like-
He's stiff. He's really
I
stiff.
think NYCFC got better, but
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think Bakrar has anything to do with that whatsoever.
No,
At
no,
least
no.
I
I
didn't see it.
Yeah,
It's
I
this
thought they were getting
Milos
another
Jovic.
9 in. Yeah, there's
it's-
another 9, right?
His name is Milos Vikucevic or something like that.
Yeah,
They-
the
they-
new
they
one
brought-
that he's
Yeah,
not even on transfer market. I just looked.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's fresh.
It's like
yeah, there's a fresh
new.
one. It's not back. Yeah, Bakra was obviously last year, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know if
I don't think
I'm not having him. From what I watched, I'm not.
No,
thinking he's...
they've paid like 8 million for him or something. Yeah, it's
Oh,
the-
okay, yeah.
it's new.
for
It's
the
brand
news.
new.
For the
Yeah,
new
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
yeah.
That's the guy, not Baccarat. I don't think he's even Serbian. Baccarat should be Algerian.
Algerian,
not-
yeah, playing in Croatia for
Yeah, for Istra.
Istra, yeah.
Istra.
Hmm.
I knew that. Obviously, I
Yeah, I
watch
mean,
NYCFC
come on.
all the time. Harry, who do you have on your radar for this season?
I mean, I'm going to be a bit biased because I do have a stake in this player and kind of this team in that sense, even prior to this new player coming in. But that's New York Red Bulls, man. I just think this Forsberg acquisition,
Boo.
man, I just don't think you can overlook it. Like, have you been seeing it? I know it's preseason.
Preseason,
but the
he's
guy
hot.
is ripping it up, and like, when you got a player like that in a team that like hasn't had like that 10/8, whatever we want to call him, like a drift inside winger in their team for a while. I know Lewis Morgan did a bit at one point and then like fell off the face of the earth. He might be coming
He was
back,
hurt
whatever.
all year.
Yeah,
day.
Luquinhos was decent at a point, but like they've never had like a guy, like a serious Carlos Heel
Since
type
Aaron
level
Long.
guy.
Since
Yeah.
Thierry
Well, I
Henry.
Yeah, literally since Thierry Henry.
Literally.
like actually. And I think, yeah, he's only 32. Like, it's not as if we're talking about like a 35-year-old Forsberg. Like, I'm not saying he's, still in his prime, but you could argue as far as like what he could bring over to the MLS, like just technically, I just think he's just going to rip it up. And like I've been seeing in preseason, like we just mentioned, Manuel and Goma, they've been like scoring crazy goals, and like he's just giving people like goals on the plate basically, and like walking the ball into the net. I'm not saying he's going to be Messi type of levels, but like he is like an elite. He was like an elite European footballer. I know they don't always work out, and there's like a first season syndrome, and we can get into all those stereotypes and stuff, but I think he breaks that personally. I just don't see how everything goes through him, because they literally don't have a leader in that sense, as far as like a European guy coming over and being like, okay, I'm the guy. They've missed that for the last few years. So I think he's going to like elevate them to new heights.
And they still have Van Zier, who could
Good
maybe
striker.
do something.
Yeah. If he
And
can
maybe
get his mouth
Forsberg
shut.
unlocks him, right? Maybe Forsberg is the thing.
Sometimes people speak too much. Yeah.
Yeah,
he looks good though. Van Zier was good in Belgium league, so I'd love to think he, a real season under his belt with like a proper sort of supplier. Like he had like your Teddy Twamers, or however we're going to pronounce it, at USG at the time. And like, did New York really have anyone to like really supply him? If we're being honest, probably not.
Nope.
No matter how good of a 9 you are, you need supply. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, no,
unless you're Tatty.
So just 4 against Real Madrid, no problem. Whatever.
I mean, yeah,
easy money. No sweat.
This man.
I'm
crazy.
not really big on anyone else like on the surface of it. Like I do, obviously, I'm always gonna have a soft spot for Dallas. I don't know if they really. Yeah, I can't see him really challenging too much. No, what's his name? Velasco obviously is going to be a massive miss, and Ferreira can kind of do what he should be able to do, but like massive signing in Peter Musa, that is huge. Like for Ferreira to give the ball to, because we know Ferreira's not a 9, if we're being honest. Right. He might be an MLS 9 on
false
most
9.
games. He's a false 9, yeah. Like, but he is a 10 realistically, I would say. And like having to be like being behind a Peter Musa, he's gonna allow you so much space, and those runs in behind, like he's like built like Haaland in a weird way. Like I'm not saying he's like a Haaland, like as good as Haaland, obviously, but that type of like 6'3", 6'4", really athletic, can score goals. He's like a £10 million European player we're talking about here. I don't know where Chris went.
Yeah,
man, he was the best. He was the best Benfica striker till
wasn't he? Yeah,
till winter. Yeah, he's a decent player. He played Croatian national team. I think he got basically called up, and Musa's pretty good. I have some hopes on Dallas if they get to the playoffs and play good in a way, because I think in September Velasco is gonna be back, something like that. So
hopefully
Jesus Ferreira, Velasco, and Musa, that could do some damage, like for real. That could really do some damage. But
don't forget about Paul Arriola.
He's
still there too. He'll eventually do something. I think.
Illaramendi, I think, was a big signing for them. I think he brought them stability. He's not doing any much on Sorare. That he's not an important Sorare player, but like for the presence in real life, Illaramendi was one of the best signings Dallas had the last 3 years, I think. So, man, Illaramendi, he played for Real Madrid one day.
Yeah, like big player. I do worry defensively though. I think they have a great keeper in Pais. Martin Pais, isn't it? But like
crazy that he plays for Indonesia. Did you know that?
What?
He's an Indonesian national keeper, Martin Pais.
No way. He's Dutch, no?
And they have Sorare too.
Yeah.
What?
They actually kind of have a little bit.
Yes, Martin Pais is the Indonesian national goalkeeper. Really? I was shocked as well.
What? Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Well, I'm not seeing any Indonesian games here.
I can't tell if Chris is frozen or just kind of just hanging out.
Chris, are you with us?
I think he's frozen.
This is what happens when you try. This is what happens when you try to wake him up early in the morning. It just doesn't work out. His computer doesn't work out. Yeah, no, dude, those are incredible shouts. One team that I'm actually excited about that no one's talking about is Montreal, because they got the head coach from Crew 2 under Wilfred Nance. Like he's gonna run the same system, do all this stuff, and like they're slowly building. I mean, maybe not Huon that's in Montreal right now, but they signed Kokoro. I mean, they have Bryce Duke, they have Chouanier, who has been up in the come up too. I think Montreal is one of those sneaky players that if they can find that form that they had with Nance and then bring it back, I think they could be a sneaky little team. They're a fun young team that they have really nothing to lose. So who's going to stop them from really going out there and putting it all on the pitch?
I think a
Orlando's
poker could
also
be.
shout, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like
Orlando?
if
I mean,
if
Muriel does it.
if the fuck with Muriel thing works, why not? And he's
back.
gone.
He's
and
back.
gone.
He's gone. He's gone.
He's
Hey,
gone. He's
and
gone.
and Javik brings it up. It's Joseph Martinez season. Does anybody?
Is it though? Is it though?
Does anybody
never
think
Joseph
that
Martinez.
Joseph is
No.
going to make anything happen on this?
Nah, it's one last big payday, isn't it, in the MLS for him? Surely he's not even a DP though, is he? So maybe it's not even that big of a payday.
No,
He
but I
wasn't.
mean,
He wasn't at Inter as well. At Inter Miami, he wasn't a DP. I think he got
right.
down to.
Okay. Fair. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I think Trippin says it best that Joseph is dust, and
Yeah,
I
I
mean
agree.
he's behind a Poku. I mean they signed a new 9. He's literally there for stability and rotation. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
especially-
yeah, go ahead.
I think. I think Opoku wants to show himself and really show what he's capable of doing, so that he can actually get a move to Europe. I think that's what he's going up to. So I think,
Yeah.
as you say, Jorge, I think Opoku's gonna be the starter, and then Jose Martinez. It's not the worst if you can bring Jose Martinez for the last 30 minutes, even if he's dust at the moment. You know, for MLS that's good.
He's going to be
Yeah,
a
it
pen
really is.
merchant, is what he's going to be. And Chris, are you back with us?
I don't know. I hope so.
I don't know. I purposely kicked him out because
This doesn't happen.
anti-Montreal. He's been anti-Montreal every
Mm.
time I bring him up, so I kicked him out
Yeah.
purposely.
I don't like Montreal. Really,
Chris,
all
I'm a
those
big fan,
all those
man.
Canadian teams.
Who's your team? Who's your team? And Trippin's here, so you have to say
Who's
Charlotte.
my team?
So
Oh,
luck of
well,
the
it's not
draw.
Charlotte, that's for sure. Although I do like the 15-year-old kid they have. I'm really excited about
Ooh, the
him.
new kid, yeah.
Yeah, the new kid. He's not going to play this year, but I like him a
He's
lot.
good.
I think NYCFC is a really good shout, to be fair. They made a lot of upgrades, and I think Fido hit it right on the head. It's a coaching issue, I think, at this point. If they can switch that out, I like their chances, to be fair. I don't know. The
Agree.
East is so stacked, but I
Yes.
really think Toronto is actually
Don't
Call me-
say it, Chris.
call me crazy. Call me
Stop.
crazy.
Stop.
Listen,
There goes
It's
all the
a-
credibility.
it's a John
Yeah, yeah.
Herdman. It's a John Herdman factor, okay? It's a coaching factor. He
That's a
took
fair one.
Canada from nowhere, from oblivion, to being in the World Cup for the first time in how long? 30 years. And granted, he has Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David, but like he took guys like Jonathan Osorio, who are very good role players, and made them, Mark Anthony Kaye, Maxime Troupeau, like good players, and made them like internationally relevant, and like was better than the U.S. and Mexico for large stretches of the last 2 years. So
That's fair.
he took a very good roster and made it great. He's now got Insigne, and I get that Insigne did not have a good year, had a lot of injuries, didn't really care. The motivation's a factor. Like, I get it. If this is going to work out, if John Herdman can turn their, focus correctly and actually get them playing, Insigne is still not old. We're talking about Forsberg. He's younger than Forsberg.
Yeah,
He's
Yeah,
arguably a higher peak than Forsberg was in
Yes.
Europe.
agree.
So, like, they've still got Jonathan Osorio there. They got rid of Michael Bradley now. So, like, there's a lot of good young pieces there that they can work with as well. So I get that Toronto was a joke last year, but, like, let's remember that this is the MLS, and this is the league where you go from last to first in one season.
They
And a
have
lot
John
of it
Johnson.
just off of that,
Is decent keeper, John Johnson. The undercare,
Yeah.
decent striker. I like the undercare, to be honest.
Like,
Could
and
be a
they've
shout,
got
but-
their problems. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that they're going to win the league or anything like that. But like playoff team, I think they could definitely challenge in like a very deep Eastern Conference. I think they could challenge for a playoff spot. And I would not want to play Insigne in a playoff game if he actually wants to play. Like, I just don't want it. I don't want any of
He
that.
could be unstoppable, couldn't he? Like, I
Exactly.
think he's due like an unbelievable season. I think. Like,
And-
it was
And
rumors
even
of
if
him
they
leaving as
aren't
well.
that good, he is gonna bang so rare scores.
Look at
Like,
his
oh my
scores from
God.
on
last year.
so rare.
Like,
They were
he's still a
crazy.
god.
Yeah, like
And he
he's
played
the card
bad.
you want,
Yeah, he played bad
Exactly.
last year too.
and he had
And that was off
nothing to
injury.
work with. Like
Literally, yes.
I think Bernadeschi was rubbish last year. Like
Yeah.
watching him, I didn't watch him live, but I watched games, and I just looked at him and thought, like, this is like a shad. I know he was never like that good, really. Like he was always like a rotational player in Juve, if we're being honest. He was never like a solid starter, right? But you still have to be an unbelievable, player to do that. And like he came to the MLS, and I was just a bit like, this guy just doesn't give a fuck. Sorry for the language, but he didn't like the Italian, style. Yeah, it's a bit like, a bit laid back and like
it's a paycheck.
Yeah, of course it is. They're on massive money there, but I think Insigne, I don't know. I think I think I don't even think it's a contemplation thinking about either or with those two. It's Insigne all day of the week if we're talking Sorare.
For sure.
And like you said, coaching factor. There could be something going on. Mark Anthony Kaye is a really good player, by the way. I think he's really good.
When he's on
New England, I think
he's hard to trying to play against him in midfield. He's so big and bangly and strong and wicked. Like technically really good. Like you'd have a hard time playing against a player like that.
If he could find that LAFC form again when he was in that team, when like he was just like really dominant in the midfield, it would be sick. ABC Trades brings up a good point. Because everybody forgot about Seattle, because I was pretty down on them last year, because like it's not that they're bad, but they're just flat. Like they've been this team
old
for so
and they haven't
long.
changed.
It's just Seattle. Like nothing's really changed.
Stagnant, isn't it?
And I think that this
there
again goes back to the coaching / management. Garth Lagerwey was such a big reason of why they were so good. He's in Atlanta now for the last 2 years, and I think that's why they have not adapted and they have not changed for the last 2 years. So yeah, I actually think I'm as low on Seattle as I think I've ever been, despite the fact that they were second last year. I could see them Austining and just falling off the face of the earth, to be completely honest. Like, I think they still got good pieces. Like, João Paulo is still an elite defensive mid, which I think is a really underrated position in this league. And, like, Jordan Morris, say what you will about him for the national team. As an MLS player, he's very solid.
Yeah.
So they've still got pieces there. But they're not bringing in that, like, fresh spark to, like, make anything creative.
They did sign someone really good, though, I believe, from one of the South American leagues. Feder, I think you know his name.
Pedro de la Vega.
De la Vega. He looks like it was like 7 or 8 million as well. Like we're not talking like pennies here. Like not that means he has to come in and like will smash, but there's probably a good chance that kid comes in and maybe helps them towards what Chris may be saying there. That new spark, maybe a bit of flair and a bit of creativity.
To be honest, I love Brian Schmetzer. I think he's a cool guy, and I love hearing him talking or whatever. I just think it's like a bit the situation what Arsenal had with Arsene Wenger. It's thank you for the memories, but it's time to go in a way. And because he's a lovely guy, I actually like him, and he's a legend for Seattle. But I think his ideas of football is a bit antique, and you can really see through those tactics he's always playing, and he's always playing the same. So he's never really changing the team in a way. So that could be a bigger factor, because if you look at the squad, I think there's not a better squad in the East than Seattle. Look, when you have Stephen Fry in goal, you have Jama, one of the best center backs in the league. Then you have next to him, you have either Reagan or Nathan. Nathan was really good at San Jose at some point before he injured himself. Left, you have who do you have left? Tolo, Tolo.
Yeah,
Nuhu. Yeah, Tolo. He plays for Cameroon, a starter. And right, you have Alex Rodan. Not the best guy. I don't love him, but he's not the worst. And then he has moments, exactly. And then you have an as 8 and 6. You basically have João Paulo, as Chris said, amazing guy. He played for Botafogo before. And next to him, Atencio, which a lot of people overlook, in my opinion. Like, a lot of people gave way too much hype to Obed Vargas because he was so young. Obed Vargas is not a bad player. I think Atencio is a better player, though, in terms of football skills. So that's a freaking good center midfield or whatever. On the left, you're gonna have Pedro de la Vega. Good player. I haven't seen too much. I've probably seen like 2-3 games, so I can't really judge for sure. But he's a good player. He shows some potential. On the 10, you have Ruzi. And on the right, you have Christian Rodan. And then, as Chris said, at striker position, you have Jordan Morris. On paper, after Inter Miami, that should be the best second best MLS team. But as I said before, I think just Brian Schmetzer is a bit too old-fashioned for this team, in my way.
I get that.
I don't know if Morris is a proper 9.
No,
like I
he's
think
not.
there's
He's
a lot of
he's a
guys.
left winger, isn't he?
There's a lot of guys playing out of position. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
but he
brought
can do
Danny
that.
Musovski in.
He can do that. He can do that, brother. And Morris can do that. The
Can
problem is
do it.
he won't play as a left wing anymore because you have Pedro de la Vega who's gonna play there, and
Right.
Leo Chu who's good for 30 minutes in the last 30 minutes. That's a perfect amount of dynamic and power you can bring for the last 30 minutes. But it's. I agree with you. He's a born winger, left wing. That's where he's the best.
Yeah.
But especially if you have Raul Ruiz, that on talent wise is one of the greatest we ever saw in MLS, but unfortunately is always injured. So
Dust.
you have
And
to
he
play
likes a little drink as well, apparently.
yes.
The Peruvians, man, you gotta watch out.
We're just talking about Joseph Martinez, right? Like,
Yeah.
this ain't 2018 anymore. Like these
Yeah.
guys are. These
No,
guys
but,
are older.
I
And here's
think-
my other thing. Hold on one second. With Seattle, do they have any depth? Like outside of
Yes, they do.
Obed Vargas on
Danny
the bench,
Musovski.
like Danny Musovski, that doesn't instill
MLS
confidence
workhorse.
in me.
MLS
He's quick.
journeyman.
Yeah, he can run.
He can do it. Hey,
do it.
production off the bench is great. But no,
Yeah.
I was thinking about this and staying with Seattle. If you look back at the beginning of last season when Jordan Morris went like a tear, had like 7 goals very early on, it was him and Leo Chu linking up. Like Morris at the top because Rui Diaz had gotten hurt and like Chu on the left. So if you're
What a
talking,
wonder.
you upgrade Chu to put Vega up there. And then if him and Jordan Morris can link up and Jordan Morris can stay healthy, that actually might be sneaky dangerous in a world where we've all probably been burned by Jordan Morris too many times and we're just like over it at this point, especially me, where I'm like, I have no faith in Jordan Morris anymore. Or like it could
Especially
actually work
so-
nice.
The
I think
key
the-
piece that you guys are missing is actually Christian Roldan.
Yeah,
When he was
that-
out
just-
for large stretches
Yeah.
of the season.
He's
They were
probably
terrible.
the best player. Yeah,
He's the best. He's the best player. He links everything together, and he can play a lot of the different positions.
Christian
So
Roldan
he
is a
can
genius.
make that depth for them. And he came back at the end of the year and was much better. And that's a lot of the reason why Seattle was much better at the end of the year. It's like I think Roldan is actually and João Paulo to me are the two like key pieces of this team.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
that's
Steph Fry.
Oh,
Steph
real
Fry
quick.
is superbly immense and important for Seattle. It's crazy that he signed a contract for 2 years after he wanted to have a career end, but apparently he's fit enough. He looks fit enough.
Take that, Stephen Cleveland. I'm the better Stephen here.
For sure, brother. Like I think Stephen Fry is not the best goalie in the MLS. Andrew Blake is that for sure. But on one, I would always pick Stephen Fry. Always. This man has a mental strength. It's crazy.
So let's get negative. Who do we think is going to drop from the standings?
Nashville.
I want to pound some teams there.
Yeah, just
Nashville.
go first
Why?
and say Miami.
Nashville,
Yeah.
because I think
Miami can't drop, man. They were 14th.
Yeah, there's no lower to go.
Miami can't-
That's fine. They can stay there then. I don't care. Stay
Man,
at the
Miami-
bottom.
I
of the
agree.
barrel.
I agree.
They
with
even
that,
signed Redondo
Nashville
now,
stuff.
Federico. They signed Redondo
fell
now,
through.
man.
It fell through yesterday.
It fell through. It fell
I
through.
was going to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
they have salary cap issues. Like how they signed more people. You know,
So,
They gotta
upset that it
get
fell
rid
through
of
for them.
people.
Just heartbreaking.
So where is
Oh.
Redondo going? He's staying at AJ, at Gretins Juniors.
JVIC says
Great.
LAFC.
Oh, could we get a little? Could you imagine LAFC just comes in? They're like, "Hey, Miami, you can't afford him. Don't worry, we'll take care of
That
him."
would be a good signing for LAFC, though. To be honest, like for real.
Yeah, I mean, LAFC is building out. I know there were like some red flags early in the beginning, but as they always somehow find a way, they just churn and burn that roster. And it's like by the time the season comes around, you're like, "Oh, this team looks great. This is great. This is fine. Everything's fine." Do you guys how do you see regression for LAFC with so much turnover, or do you think they'll figure it out like they always do?
The most important question is: do we think Vela's gonna come back to LAFC or not?
You better.
I mean, at
I
this
think
point,
he
we're
is.
like a week out, right? Like,
Yeah, he should. Like, what is he doing? What's the guy doing? Like for real? Then he could have signed for Chivas at this stage,
mhm.
you know, or
The
Club
team looks
America.
nowhere near as good as last year, though. Like
No.
LAFC, if I look at their roster, like I'm on SofaScore here, they have 3 forwards listed, and one of them's obviously Boanga. The other one's Thomas Angel, or Angel, I don't even know who that is, and Nathan Ordaz from Mexico, who looks very young. But like, I mean, the thing is, goals can like paper over the cracks a lot of the time, right? If Boanga just smashes again, like it gets you out of tricky situations, whereas you might be losing 1-0 sometimes. That guy comes in and scores 3. It's a 3-1 game. It's just like goals change games. And like maybe if he doesn't smash, they could be in trouble type of thing. The reliance on him could be a bit too apparent. But like I look through their squad, man, like Palacios, I know Feder's a massive fan of him not being there. I know they've signed Campos and he looks pretty good from them. Was it Laguna?
Santos?
Santos?
Yeah, he was at
Yeah,
Santos.
Santos. So like, they've strengthened maybe replaced, maybe not say strengthened, but like, I don't know. They look thin to me from what I'm seeing here, like really thin.
Very
okay.
thin.
Lloris is a big one. I didn't even look down. Yeah, they've obviously got a really good keeper, which helps. So they've got like a really good keeper,
Lloris
a really
gonna be
good
good
forward. I mean, he should be
Nah.
MLS good. No disrespect, right? He has to be.
He's okay. He's fine.
Surely. He has to be, bro.
Is he going to do good getting peppered with shots though? Because if we're
Good
saying what we're
point.
saying about
Yeah.
LAFC, like they're going to be under a lot of pressure and like law of
That's a good
averages,
point.
man. Like
Yeah,
the end
yeah.
of
It
the
doesn't matter how
day-
good your goalie is at the end of the day. Sometimes it's how good your defense is for me. If the defense is allowing shots in, goalies are just going to concede goals. It doesn't matter how good they are, realistically. So yeah, that's a good point. If we say that, yeah, maybe they're not great defensively, they take in a lot of shots or whatever. Yeah, chances are, law of averages, he's probably going to concede a couple of games, isn't he? But they'll probably score 3 or 4 as well if they've got
That's true.
Bouanga on fire. Like it feels like they've got really strong, a really strong forward, a really strong keeper, let's say, and then everything in the middle feels a bit meh.
The problem I have with the middle is Timothy Philman, to be honest. I think he has talent. I think he's actually a good player, but I don't know why he's not showing it on the pitch, to be honest. As well, I have a YouTube channel I watch pretty much that goes about food vlogs, and they are very good friends with Timothy Philman. And so they when they went to LA the last 2 weeks, basically they did everything with Timothy Philman. And this man is preseason, like the season starts in a week, and this man is eating chicken burgers, ice cream, and whatever. Like doesn't give a shit about everything, and that's just not professional. And I thought he would have been better. I think he has the talent. I think he was very good at Bayern Munich in the youth. Then he showed some sparks at Kräuter Fürth. That's why LAFC then also tried to sign him. I think he's going to have a good season as well, because I think he has the talent, but I'm just a bit disappointed in him that he doesn't care enough, and it seems so unprofessional in a way. So it's crazy what this man was eating. Like, man, you're a professional athlete, and in 1 week your freaking season is starting. You can't eat that shit.
I mean, it kind of goes with it though, right? And like,
Yeah.
I feel like we're in that middle pod where like there's old MLS that is still like maybe retirement league, cashing a check, doing this stuff right here, and then there's like all this new wave of like, hey, we're bringing in talent, we're growing the league, and like there's still some of that mix because you see it, you almost see it, and you saw it this year. A lot of the signings, not only were they younger, but like just like the way they like carry themselves and like the way they act on and off the pitch is completely different. Like they're bringing in personalities that are going to be better for the locker room, not going like, hey, you're going to ball out, do some cool things on the pitch, but you're completely destroying the locker room. And I think a lot of teams are starting to focus on that this year. And that's just one more step that the MLS is going to take, right?
Yeah, it's a tough one. And I think it's a clever, the way they've done it now, say over the last couple of years, before it was bringing in the older heads, like you said, cashing on a check, right? But with that comes ego, like you've basically just said. Now, if you bring in the younger boys, like your Thiago Almadas from South America, and you bring in these Facundo Torreses of the world, they're young. They don't really have that much of an ego. They haven't done anything in the game. They can't say anything, realistically. They still are earning their stripes in that sense. And like, I think, and then like the thing, like the positive for the club at that point is if they do well there, then they sell them for an X amount of money. Where like if the old guy comes in and does well, yes, great, but they ain't getting anything from him. Like they're just getting, it's great.
Ticket
They're winning
sales.
games, maybe. Yeah, ticket sales, whatever. But like they're not getting like a £20 million for an Armada, And I think that type of model, like how they've maybe gone towards bringing the younger guys, let them come through, give them a platform, and then see them kick on rather than bringing in the old. Like they're still doing the old guy thing. It's always going to happen. Older guys are going to want to come and live in the US. It's just that's just the way it falls. That'll be hard to like shake out, I think. But yeah, you're right. They've probably got the balance a lot better, over the last couple of years than previously.
Bernadeschi.
To be honest, last thing I want to say.
They're still working on it.
Last thing I want to say about LAFC, about the value of talent and who I think has massive talent. I'm just freaking massive talent, and I would love him to show more. First of all, it's Bogusz, but the other one is Eddie Segura. Man, if that man gets fit again, they are in trouble because he's then the best center back in the league. He was so good 2 years ago, and in this one season, unbelievable. I'm just so sad what happened to him. I'm waiting on the Super for 2 years now already. So as well, so please, my man, stay fit and show what you're able to do. And yeah, you're certainly better than Aaron Long, even if Long
Whoa!
had his.
What did I do to you?
I have.
Come
Brother, I
on.
have both. The best case scenario would be if we play Long and Segura, but I think Cherundolo loves Murillo, so he's not
Yeah,
gonna
he
bench
does.
Murillo. He loves Murillo, man.
Play a back five.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't you
And
sit
you got
my
Atuesta
boy.
back.
And they got a
Atuesta's really
Atuesta
good.
back. Yes,
Do we-
but he didn't play at Palmeiras, or he did. He was like a rotation, one start, one not. But Atuesta is not a bad player. I agree.
Does anybody have a hot take on Corey Baird at Cincy? Because
He
it's Corey
sucks.
Baird season.
He sucks.
Yeah, agree.
Stay away. Like,
He won the
don't-
Open Cup with Houston. He just won a
don't-
trophy
Don't. Yeah.
with
He's
Hector
a winner.
Herrera. Come on,
Bad, Jorge. Bad.
He's a winner.
Can we talk about
Vasquez, who
Cincinnati
cares?
as a whole for a second? Because
Red flags?
I'm a little worried about this team. Like losing Brandon Vasquez, I think matters more than people think. I've watched Lucho Acosta for years, like going back to the DC United days. And this screams to me a classic Lucho Acosta team where it's just him having the ball and doing a lot of crazy things to like get people open, and then people just can't do anything with it. There's no one to get on the end of his crosses. There's no one that like he needs you to move in a certain way to like play those little 1-2s that he likes to do. And I can see, especially if Barreal ends up leaving over the summer, I could see this like just completely falling apart. I mean, I am a fan of their defensive like prowess as long as they still have Nwobodo, and they have Matt Miazga. Like they've got Celentano, who I think it's solid. I don't think he's anything great, but I think he's a solid MLS level keeper. So like defensively, they'll probably still be okay. So they'll probably still make the playoffs. But like they won't have that. Like the thing that made them special last year was the attack. It was like impossible to defend them.
But do they have a
they
DP
just don't
spot
see
open?
that.
Do they still have?
Well, they signed Bupenza, so I don't know if he took. I mean, they signed him last year, so he couldn't have took Vasquez's spot.
No, but he
like,
was a DP last year as well. I think it's him.
Yeah, I think it's him and
Lucho,
Lucho, and then
was they
Vasquez
have one open.
Was Vasquez a DP?
He must have been, no?
He was. Vasquez was a DP. I think he signed a DP extraction. He was.
And they've got Miles Robinson, lads. Let's not forget.
But he's not a DP.
Miles
Miles
Robinson,
Robinson.
No, I know. But
True.
And they got Luca
defensively.
Orleano. He's gonna be pretty good, to be honest. He's a worse Barreal, but still very good for the league. But he's worse than Barreal.
For the right side, right? Or was he left?
Chris, I have to agree and disagree with you. In my opinion, I watched every single freaking Cincinnati game there was last year. I know what Lucho's capable of doing and what he did last year. I think Brandon Vasquez was not. Lucho was, especially in the second part of the season, was more linking up with Bupensa. The only one I'm a bit worried that Brandon Vasquez left is the scores of Barreal, because he was very good with Brandon Vasquez, and he was the guy who always basically crossed into Brandon Vasquez. Lucho never really crossed the Brandon Vasquez anymore. He always goes for the dribble or then the long pass to Bupensa. At least that's what it seemed in the last two-thirds of the season. But Barreal, his scores could really take a dip in a way without Brandon Vasquez. There's still the possibility now that we have Miles Robinson, Matt Miazga, and Hagalund or Murphy. Let's see who's going to play of those two. That Barreal is going to have the corner, so there's going to still be a lot of headers from the corners because those three are freaking huge. So they're going to bang in some headers, especially Matt Miazga. And so he's still going to have the assists, but he probably will have less because Brandon Vasquez is not there, and he was very crucial for the left side with Barreal. But Barreal as Chris said, is gonna move most likely in the summer, anyways. Let's hope he's not making a Brenner where he just plays 3 games and then he's signed for Udine and then he
no.
doesn't play for the rest of the time until he goes to Italy or Spain or whatever. So let's hope that's not gonna be the case. But Barreal is a massive talent. I love Barreal. He's such a hardworking footballer, such good mentality. Very, very happy that he got this hype and that he's probably gonna earn his move to Europe because I think he deserves it. What I'm excited to see a bit more of this year from Cincinnati is Angulo. I think he has good basis. Let's see how he's gonna be utilized because they signed this Czech guy. I thought Angulo would have been a starter before they signed this Czech guy. Well, I don't know his name. What's the name of the Czech guy they signed from Sparta Prague? Slavia Prague, sorry. I don't know, but
I have
he's
no idea.
they signed him, so he's gonna play next to Vododo. That's gonna be a sick center midfield, and then Lucho on the 10. I think since he's still a good team, I don't think they're gonna win the MLS Cup because, as we said, Bed is just not it. But if they have a DP spot open in the summer, they could get actually a decent striker, and then we could have a completely different discussion again.
So in Wobodo is actually their third DP.
Yeah,
Oddly enough.
Yeah.
which
So-
that makes sense.
Which I mean, he changed their team, so hey, why not, right? You're gonna make
Well,
that
he's
DP
good.
money. You're gonna
He's
Gonna
good.
come in and do what it is.
I think they're gonna have to have a more elite defense than they did last year. They're gonna basically have to be Nashville and
they'll be
like
fine.
beat people on the counterattack with just Hani Mukhtar type of an offensive game plan. It's like, or maybe I mean set pieces to be fair too. So potentially they can come up with some set piece goals, but like I don't know. I don't see it. I don't like Pupenza that much. I don't see it. I
Pupenza's
think
not
Brandon
bad.
Vasquez is huge.
Penza is not bad. He has his days though. He has his days.
Let me pivot a little bit to some Sorare because there's a lot of questions and I don't know. I was fine and now I'm stuck. Where are you guys as far as your gallery and focusing up on the MLS? Like, how are you going to attack the MLS? I don't know, Harry or Fedo, like which one do you want to go first? But how are you going to attack the summer? Because as of right now, it looks like MLS is going to be top dog in the summer, and all eyes are going to be here. So that should technically pump our bags, right?
Yeah, you'd hope so. But the issue is, well, not an issue, but like with the new update, you can only win cards that are like playing, which is not an issue when everything's playing. When next week, you can use MLS cards. Well, let's just say from April 1st, you will be able to, win. You can play MLS cards in Challenger, and you can win cards from Europe, which is like a nice feature for
MLS
6
yes.
weeks. Yeah, for
Right,
6 weeks, because obviously Europe's done then after May, right? So for a bit, and then obviously we'll get it back in August. So yeah, I mean, like you said,
But you can play
they
the
are the
All-Star.
only. Right, yeah, you can play All Star, of course, but that goes for every card right now. So like, that doesn't make MLS unique in any way, I wouldn't say. But the fact that you could go into Challenger and like, are they going to be the first in-season new mints, if that makes sense? Like as a league in that Challengers, they'll be the first new in-season cards, I assume, right?
They'd have to be, right? Because
yeah.
Mexico's already in, so they won't get another one. Argentina,
No, but they're not even in
won't.
there. Like,
Oh
they're not
yeah,
even
and they're
in-
not even.
You know what I'm saying?
See?
Like,
Yeah, so
Brazil do, but I don't know whether what happens with that, Fed? Like the Palmeiras cards now, are they in season?
No, but
not.
technically they're not. But they probably want to do an update. They have to because they're not saying anything because they're thinking about it. But technically, if you read the FIQ and everything, and they're not in season. But I think they're gonna give them in season status for some time, so at least something like that, because they auctioned them so late. For example, River they auctioned in November, so and in that's they only had like 3 game weeks left of the actual in season then, so that would be a joke, and I think people would get mad. So they have to think about something, but they will find a solution. They have this new system now. We have to adapt or we die in a way. But I think I'm with Jorge. It's gonna be fun. I always love the summer period because it's just the J League and the American leagues playing. It's one of my most favorite part in
And
the Sorare.
Euros and Copa.
And, yeah, and Euros and Copa, but the
I think
Euros,
that's a big deal. Like this year, like you're gonna still have your Mbappe's playing. You know.
yeah, but
Yeah, but
I
they
think
won't
in the
be
Euros,
in the division though, will they? They would be in
True, it
special
might be
weeklies.
special weeklies.
Yes.
Yeah. Good point.
they will be in special weeklies. But to be honest, I agree. Mbappe is gonna still score like crazy. But I think in general, I think national team cards, especially if they play in the Euros or the Copa when they're not playing against Liechtenstein or San Marino, they don't tend to score that great as they do in at their own clubs. So
Yeah,
if you
that's
have
true.
a good let's say Dallas stack and they win 4-0 at home against let's say Charlotte. Love goes out to Triple B.
Shout out Triple B.
Shout out to Triple B. 4-0 to
Strays.
Charlotte. 4-0 to Charlotte. Then I think you have a really decent chance that you could win something if you hit the right players. Or Orlando winning 3-0 against Washington DC. That's going
Everybody.
to happen. Or everybody, as Jorge
All
would
right,
love.
the Wi-Fi needs to go out again. So I'm interested in your kind of how you're going to handle the multi-entry. Are you guys going to go like? Are you guys going to play one lineup off another? So, like for example, if Seattle is playing LAFC and you have a Seattle stack and an LAFC stack, you put both in the same thing and say like one of these two stacks is probably going to do well because like somebody's got to win the game, or I guess it could be a draw and you're just screwed both ways. Like, are you thinking about one lineup as you're setting the second and third lineup, or are you just like, this is the lineup that I would set, and then I'm just starting over from scratch. This is the lineup that I would set, and then I'm starting over from scratch. This is the lineup I would set. Or like, does it not, like, you not thought about it?
I think they're all like mutually exclusive in a weird way. Like, just make that first lineup as fucking good as it can be, and then you go on to and then if you've got cards left over, they go into that second lineup. But it's all about getting that first lineup as good as it can be, as polished as it can be, because at the end of the day, it's better to win one reward from three lineups than it is to win, none from three, obviously, right? So if you're just doing three average lineups across, if you're like thinking about the second lineup while still building the first, you're like, you're taking away from that first one in whatever way, right? So it's like, I think you've just got to like you just forget that you've got a second and third to come. Go, what is the best five I can get into this lineup right now? What is the best captain? And let sort of numbers just take care of themselves and variance and whatever, right? And then you go, okay, well, what have I got to deal with for the second one? I get what you're saying with the whole like fixtures and stuff. And yeah, there's definitely something to that. There's definitely like people will do that. I'm not saying that won't work. There'll definitely be merit in that. But like, the multi-entry thing does play like a big sort of part in, how Sorare just changed for us, hasn't it? Really, like before it was like, you could just have, one MLS team, but now it's like you can have three, and actually you could have three fucking really good ones.
Yeah,
you need 15 good cards. Like if you want to be like winning things every single weekend or putting yourself in the position to do that, you need 15 really good cards at a minimum. That's before I've said anyone's got an injury, anyone's suspended, like that's before any of the fucking negative stuff comes in. Like you've got to be, I'm not saying you need three. I think two's fine, probably, if you can get 10 really good cards in.
As well.
One is fine, as long as the one's like good,
Yes, if one is it depends. I think it can also be, one could be mediocre, and if you rock that in Division 4, I think it's good enough. That's
a good point. That's a good point.
If you win Division 4, you still win a star, I think. So that's great. You know what I mean? And then unfortunately you go up for one game week, but then you go down again if you make it extra shitty in a way. But it's hard. I would, me personally, I never play teams that play against each other in the same team. Never. Even if it sometimes would have been the better idea, because I have Charles Gil and Buanga, but I never do that. I just can't do this. It can't get over my head. So normally I would have done that. The one I would have played in America, and the other one I would have played in All-Star or in Cap, whatever, something like that. And probably it's gonna be the same still for me. So then one is gonna play in the Division 2, and the other one is gonna play Division 3, and the last one is gonna play in Division 5, basically, for me. But it's gonna be very interesting to see, because we don't know what's gonna happen, because we never had this game mechanism in the game yet. And it's gonna be just curious how people are gonna decide where to what prioritize, and it's gonna be interesting, especially, for example, if you have like a very, I'll give you an example. If you are in Division 1, but you have a New York City stack, and they play against Inter Miami. So, but you also have a Division 3 stack and a Division 4 stack. What are you gonna play in Division 1? Basically, normally you would have played the New York City FC stack, but now you're gonna play the one based on the matchup, and it's gonna be, or if you just have one, or it's gonna be very interesting to see. Sorry, and sometimes probably it's gonna be even beneficial to regress than do progress, because then you can go back to Division 2, rock that, because you see in Division 1 there's too many PSU fans and whatever that take away your prices.
Always
and you
too
go
many PSU fans.
and that take away basically your pride and glory, and you rather stay in Division 2 where you play against other
Against me.
or against Chris's, you know what I mean? So
But
you rather do that.
I think Sorare have kind of come out and said, though, haven't they, that like the incentive won't be there to move down per
stay
se,
down.
you know? Yeah, like, and I don't know how that will work, because like Feder said, you can win from the graphics we've seen, you can win stars from Division 4, 3, 2, and obviously 1. Best prizes on paper should be in 1, but how are they? I know they're saying like the boxes are going to have better probabilities, but that doesn't feel like enough of a reason for me to not do what Feder just said. Like, I don't,
Right.
obviously I care, but like percentages, like when we're talking like if we're going from 15 to 20% of getting a tier 3 or whatever, it's like that's not enough for me to not want to move down and like strategically put myself in a better position maybe next week or whatever. It's like, I don't know, I really worry, or I'm just really curious to see how they're going to do that. Do they know? Who knows? I mean, it's going to be interesting when April 1st comes.
I almost want them to do like divisions instead of like weekly, like do it monthly, right? So like almost like the long form. And I just kind of thought about this as you were talking, like take the long form concept, right? Where you were accumulating points like by week. So then do that. So like at the beginning of January, you have the entire month to accumulate as much points as possible per lineup. And then at the end of that month, if you're in the top half, you move up. If you're in the bottom half, you move down. Or if you're in some percentage, you stay the same. So then you kind of do it like that, where you're like, you have multiple chances to score the highest over multiple weeks, and then depending on where you sit on that leaderboard at the end of the month is then where you move up and down. Because this whole like 1 week here, 1 week no, like there's like there's not enough stability for it to not break at some point, right? Like it's almost like there's too many variables for
too
it
fluid,
to, like,
isn't it?
work seamlessly the way you want it to.
There's gonna be a week where I'm gonna have 2 random DNPs that like I just had no idea about.
It's not that you suck, it's just
immediately get
Galley was
relegated. Like that doesn't seem.
Is that why they go, well, you've got 3 lineups, so tough luck, Chris, you've got 2 DMPs in 1 lineup, but you do have another 2 that maybe moved up, or whatever it is.
And there's bye weeks in the MLS this year.
The thing is, it could be a bit too complicated, and that would not be good for users, especially for new users. So I'm agreeing with Jorge. I think a monthly ELO ranking should determine which ranking basically is gonna play for the next month. A Division 1, Division 3, Division 4, something like that. But the more we think about it, the more I understand that we became FIFA, because it's the same with the weekend league, that you then get Elite 1 or Elite 2 or whatever, or Gold 1 basically, and based on that you get your rewards.
I mean, but that's skill based though. Like you play and you end up being, and like the whole thing where it's like, oh well, like I get too high and then I play PSU and so I don't like that. It's like, because that's where you're skilled at, and like guess what? We all like to think that we're the best at this game. We're going to podium every week, but we're not. There's always going to be people that are better than you. So you're eventually going to hit that ceiling where you're like, wow, I can't go much further. I keep losing when I get to a certain level. It's like, yeah, because that's where your skill is, buddy. Like, sorry, it's not as high as you thought it was, but That's
Yeah.
kind of where
Yeah,
you fell.
but Sora needs to still those people smoothen them up, because if not, they get frustrated and they leave the game. That's not optimal for Sora. So they need to find a sweet spot where they give them something back. So I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out. To be honest, before we go back to this conversation, I just have one big question to my man Chris, because I know he was a big believer of this guy, and he's an ex-Washington DC player. So what's going to happen with Moses Neyman?
Oh, what a boy. What a man.
My guy.
We're gonna be here for an
So-
hour. Let's go.
Last I heard, he's at RSL, right? Buried
Yes.
in their organization somewhere. So I think he's very technical. He's got a lot of skill. At least when he was at DC, he wasn't big enough. He was just getting botted off the ball way too easily. And I mean, it's possible with a lot of these younger kids to where like their body just doesn't grow the way that you think it's going to grow. Like, and it's just a physical like limitation. It's possible that could just be his thing. Or I think he's 18, maybe 19 now. I think he's still 18.
I think he's 18 yet. Still, yes.
And he could just be a little bit of a late
20,
bloomer.
by the way.
He's 20.
Yeah. November
that's
5th,
wild.
2003.
That's wild. That means Paredes is 21. That's crazy. So he could just be a little bit of a late bloomer, like add a little bit more bulk, and then he's still the technical player, and then he could just kind of shoot up. But like, this is the problem with kind of hyping these kids. Like, you can say like this guy has so much talent, but like everybody develops differently, and like some people just never develop things that you think that should be like everybody should develop. So I mean, that's why there's such a big like miss rate on some of these guys, and that's why you have to always kind of be careful with it. So yeah, I haven't watched him play a game since he left DC to go to Europe. I haven't seen him in the RSL, the depths of RSL, but I still love him. So I hope he eventually comes good, or at least has a solid career for himself, because he had so much hype at DC.
Man, he has the same physique as Diego Luna, and he's a baller, so he should be.
Luna's got that Mexican in him. Come on, man! Like
You got that dog in him.
Yeah, like I've played against those type of players. Like they're different. They're like low center of gravity is something that you can't even, unless you've played against them, right? It's the weirdest thing ever. Like they're so fast and nimble and strong in every movement. It's a different thing. Like. He's nowhere near as small as Luna. Like
Neyman wasn't ever fast either. He was
right. Yeah.
He was always like a better passer. He was more Jack McGlynn-esque than Diego Luna.
Quite silky, but he's not like dynamic.
Right.
He's not
he could pick a pass.
everywhere.
Even at DC, he could pick a pass. Like when he was 16 years old and playing in the DC first team, like some of the passes he made were incredible. He just couldn't hold on to the ball when he was getting pressed. So it was like that's kind of a thing you have to do when you play center mid.
And modern football, like everyone's an athlete these days. Like it's it's a fact, man. Like it's so cutthroat at those levels, anyways, as though in those ages. But like you said, he can do all the passing stuff at 16, great, and it looks amazing if you're in a good team or whatever, good players to pass to. But once it breaks down, and like you said, once there is players pressing you, once there's people up your bum, and you can't move them because you're not very strong, like you got to get that John McGinn in, like not everyone's got the John McGinn in them, so it's like.
And let's not forget confidence is a thing too, like motivation / confidence. I mean, we talk about Insigne. We all know Insigne's talent, but like he played terrible too, It's like some of these guys, sometimes it just takes like the right situation, and RSL brings these kids along. So that's why I hoped he would do well at RSL. It's not encouraging that he's been there over a year and I still haven't heard his name yet.
It is weird,
but yeah, I still hope, like I said, the best for him. And hopefully if he can get that confidence back and get back to what he was at DC with a little bit more physical ability, he could still be a very good player. He could still be a very solid professional for a long time.
Yeah, 100%. The issue is that when you're really young at 16, you've got no fear. There's no fear in a 16-year-old Moses Neyman, right?
And
they
then
go and tell him, do whatever you want, mate. And then once you're not playing for you're 20 years old, things start going downhill, unfortunately. Jimmer, I love you.
Hey, just got to throw it up there. Things are starting to get a little spicy here in a second. It's funny that you
that's the next call later.
Like, and I know Harry, you recently did like a U23 like episode talking about like MLS Wonder Kids and stuff. It's like, is there anybody here that's gonna talk me off the Diego Luna bandwagon? Because like I'm on it, and like I'm way on it, and like
They firmly on it.
I need to know that like I'm not crazy and like I should stay on it and like I'm not overreacting, because I don't know, like watching him like with the men's national team and watching what he did there, like the way that he literally just showed up and he was like, act like you've been there, bro. Like he just showed up and like nothing, and then just like what he did with RSL, like I'm high on Diego Luna.
I've got a bit of a backstory for him if you want to listen to this one. This is a good one.
Yeah, go for
So
it.
my friend, one of my best friends from college, just got a job with the Barcelona Residential Academy, right, in Arizona, and he did like a placement over the last 2 summers, and Diego Luna came from that. So like you had players like who's the right back? Araujo.
Brooklyn Reigns came from that.
Yeah,
too.
Brooklyn Reigns is one, so that's why I have his card, as you might see in my gallery, right? So he's in there. Obviously, I had Luna, but you had Julian Araujo came from there as well, obviously, Barca or whatever. And yeah, the coaches there apparently were saying like this Luna kid, like they've never seen anything like it. Like he's just like there's just nothing they've ever seen at that age. Like he was a man, you know, even though he's short, he was like sort of built like a man, you know, that way, width-wise rather than height-wise, at like 14, you know, tattoos on his neck, and they were like, where's this kid come from? Obviously sold him to RSL and stuff, and he was playing in the
sold him
Monarchs
to El Paso.
Right.
El Paso.
that's right.
He went to the USL, played a full season,
For the
got
Monarchs,
full
right?
professional minutes.
Yeah.
El Paso is the
Locomotives.
Thank you.
Okay.
I should probably know that. Yeah, he went to El Paso for an entire season, and then El Paso sold him to RSL.
Right, got you.
And actually, going along with that, the new kid coming from the USL, who also went to RSL, Fidel Barajas, the young player of the year in the USL. Lots of comparisons to Diego Luna himself, and he'll be on the same team as Diego Luna. Tom Bogert mentions him in his under 20s to watch video, which is highly recommended. And he says there's some people that think he's... No, it's on YouTube.
Is it? Because
he's got his YouTube channel.
Yeah, he does. True, but
listen to this though. Let me finish the story. Right, Barcelona, like actual Barcelona, were asking for him on trial, but
Yeah,
basically,
I believe that.
There was a little thing where like they didn't think he was like big enough. Basically, like I know that's he's just not very tall. Like that's just a fact, right? But
yeah,
you know,
5'6" guy would never work at Barcelona.
Yeah, never. Unless you're left-footed, you know.
Unless you're Argentine.
Yeah. So like apparently it didn't go through in the end, and he didn't end up going on trial there. And then that's when he went to like played in the USL and whatever, and kind of kicked on. But there was obviously, because it's a satellite academy, they're gonna send players over there, and it happens. But it didn't actually go through with him, I'm sure. And it was there was sort of like a bit of controversy around it and stuff. And it's worked out for him. Like he's got a platform. I think this year, like this is probably his breakout year, if we're being honest. Like everyone's gonna know about him. But on the negative side of that, I sold his jersey mint, lads. Can I just add? I won his jersey mint last year, 26 or 26. Wow. Yeah. And then this past summer, I traded him away because I needed a goalkeeper at the time, and he was part of a trade basically. So yeah, gutted. But yeah. And I brought another one in and then sold that one. Don't ask me what is going on. Yeah, I swear. I replaced the jersey mint with like a normal mint, and then I'm now Lunaless. So I'll probably go out and buy one maybe.
I'm Lunaless.
Yeah,
I'm Lunaless. That's a nice.
Basil has one. I'm gonna get one off Basil. Basil's
hold on, I'm going on to.
I'm gonna be faster, brother. Let's go.
It's a race. You can get there first. Sorry, I bought mine a few weeks ago, so
randomly gets 9 offers in the space of 10 seconds.
What dross can I get rid of?
We're at an hour. I know Fedo has some plans.
No, I'm fine. We're good. We're good. Still.
Okay, we're gonna be here for 2 hours then. No, I wanted to go around and ask each one of you what you think you're gonna do between the split contest, because we're gonna have the classics, we're gonna have the new seasons. Obviously, we're all going to be enticed by new seasons. Not everybody might have the budget for that. Some do, some don't. Some might be moving stuff now to prepare for that. How are you guys going to attack that? And kind of what's your strategy behind that? Are you going to focus on classic to move up, or what are you thinking right now?
Okay, I go first. So basically, I'm I have some targets still that need to get in. Basically, I said if I want to have those guys, I'm gonna buy them in season. I'm gonna wait for them to become in season, basically, so I then can play them in the in season tournaments. But my big goal is basically, or my strategy at the moment is go big in the classics and then just win those cards in season. Keep the ones I would love to keep because I know who's good and who's not good in a way, and then play them. Basically, I'm not there to sell those cards, but my dream would be like if I could at least from the rewards build 2 in season comps for each like region. Are they regions now? What are they? Sections?
Competitions? Yeah,
Sections
comps.
or
Tiers.
tiers for each tier basically. So that would be great if it goes well. Like last year, I won like a Acosta. I would have won a Lucho Acosta in season and a Vanda in season and all that. So that
that
could
was
have been
special.
that's not the worst. So my goal is basically to replicate that, hopefully, and then play with the guys I actually win the in-season tournament. That's my goal, and not sell any of those, but just play the in-season then. But again, I have some cards that need to get in. If I don't get like a super good deal on the old cards, I will wait for them and get the in-season ones. For example, Steph Fry Super. I want the Steph Fry Super. Probably gonna get the
Ooh.
in-season one, or yeah. So
That's a big purchase.
yeah, he's so cheap
Well,
nowadays.
not these days.
Unbelievable.
Not these days.
Oh,
Not
that's
these
true.
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, a big purchase for the price of however long you're gonna
For
have them
sure.
for,
Yeah.
which is unknown at this point.
No, he signed 2 years, so I have it for 2 years for sure, and I'm fine with that. Let's see in 2 years if we still play Sora. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. Oh man. Yeah, we don't talk about that. Harry, what about you?
Yeah, so I've done a bit of pivoting in the rare scarcity recently. New season La Liga cards, a couple of little like Las Palmas collections, Girona. Sort of, I won a Savio a few months ago, so I've added to that. Got a Garcia in, and kind of just bolstered out what I could do in La Liga, knowing that that's going to have its own competition from August onwards. And obviously we'll have in season champ. But yeah, I needed a lot more exposure to champ. I think I have like some nice pieces in Vinny, Rodrigo. Like I have like good guys, but obviously they're still under 23. But I thought, you know what, let me do something where if I don't fancy playing those guys in under 23 for whatever reason, they can go in champ, but they have like a good foundation in there. So like that Las Palmas defensive stack won me Luis Diaz last weekend. So like I literally bought them the week before that, scored 420 points, and I finished like 23rd. And I was like obviously super lucky, like getting like instant success with it. This week they just lost 4-0 to Atletico Madrid. Like it's not going to happen every week, you know. But you know, I played them. I knew that was not. You know, I didn't know 4-0 was going to happen, but you could kind of guess something like that was going to happen. I've also pivoted into Premier League in season as well. Brought in a few Brighton cards. I already had Bart out of season, so I've just kind of got Steele in. So I've got a handcuff there. Doesn't really make any much difference because no one knows who's going to play ever. It's a toss-up. So I'm basically playing like 2 in-season Prem teams, and one's going to have a goalie and one is not. It's just how it's going to roll for me, right? Over these next 14 game weeks. And then, yeah, under 23s, obviously, I'm obviously still going to try. Well, I am going to play under 23. That's not going to change. I'm only going to be able to have one team in Super Rare and Rare like I do now, I guess. I just won't have the Rare Pro up until August. But obviously, after August, we can have 3 teams. I'm not going to have 3 Super Rares, but I'll definitely try and have 3 Rares at that point. But yeah, I've got like a Brady. Like I can still play the MLS. I can't play it to the degree where I think I can go and compete in Challenger Classic, if I'm being honest. Like I have like, you know, your Forsbergs. Like I have a couple of good outfielders, but I don't have like an elite goalie on paper, you know, unless Brady's popping out 90s every week, which isn't going to happen. I can tell you that for free. So
yikes.
So he's going to be limited to under 23 and maybe cap modes. And yeah, I'm still happy to play the threshold and stuff and aim for that 340 a lot of the time. And especially in rare, like I used to have the same amount of super rares than I did rares, and now it's gone like to 3-to-1 ratio. So I have like 150 rares, say 50 supers. So I'm a bit more, you know, thick over there, and I think like you need that if I'm gonna be doing 340. I need those DMPs and like L15 to 20s and 30s. You're gonna need to do it because otherwise it's just gonna become really hard for you to make a good yield. And I think, you know, Laird spoke about it quite well a few days ago on one of his podcasts, just like now that we don't have the threshold in the old form where like that $50 / $200 are super rare was like the cash generating element of my gallery, of most people's galleries, as well as, other comps. But that was like a thing that you could be like, okay, let me secure the threshold every week, and what can I win cards wise? Now it's forced everyone to pivot into other comps, i.e. Premier League in season. It will be, champion season, challenger in season, contender in season, when all those cards will, come out, because they're going to be the cash generating, elements of the game. I'm not saying it's all about that, but like, if you've got a decent sized gallery, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not aiming for cash. You're just being stupid, basically, I think. Like, winning cards will still be great, and if you can sell them on, which is the theory, I think that makes sense. But if you have the ability to do it, I think like limiting yourself to just trying to win cards, you're not really maximizing what you could be doing. You're not squeezing everything out of that. What are we going to call it? A lemon, lime,
Orange. It's lemon lime,
orange,
Orange juice.
So you have your your Girona stack or your Las Palmas stack or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Are you selling that on in August and picking up the same stack for the new season?
No, I'll keep them. Are
you selling anything from your gallery and like basically picking up the exact same thing in the new season cards so you can play the new season competition?
No, I won't be. But like, I'll have that. So obviously I've got in-season Prem Comp now for X amount of weeks. Threshold, I'm just talking about the cash generators now. And then, we'll have like 7 weeks worth of champion season, if that makes sense. So like, I can put out a full in-season La Liga team in champ. I know we're not having La Liga or Bundesliga specific until August. At that point, they won't be in season, obviously, like you're alluding to. So exactly. I'm not gonna sell them and go again. I think you're just diluting. Like if I sell a Savio and Alexi Garcia, and then I can try and buy them both, try and buy them in the new season, I can guarantee you I ain't gonna get them for the same price. Obviously,
no,
it's gonna be one of them. It's going to be tough. It's going to be like a crazy.
But how much
multiple.
more could you win?
I'm thinking like 40-50% higher at least.
Yeah, I think. We've seen it with Rodri now. Rodri's literally double the price, new card to old card. So it's like we're going to see that across the board. Some cards, some Premier League cards, limited's gone berserk. I don't even know. Like, I don't even want to get into like those multiples. They've been crazy. But like the rares alone, like some cards are 3-4x. Like Pablo Sarabia was selling for like 15 quid a couple of days ago. His in-season's like 45. So like, I don't think we'll see that 3x on like a Rodri type of like amount of money. It kind of, it's easier to do those multiples lower down, the amount that card's worth. But we're going to see crazy multiples, I think. 2 to 5x, I would say. 2 to 4x being...
I think that's what I'm banking on is 2 to 5x. And I'm going to basically I'm probably not going to play any new season.
2 to 5x in limited though. It's not going to be 5x in rare.
At like lower levels, yeah. I don't think I'll be anywhere near. Like the higher you go price wise, like I think it's obviously like you said, it's going to drop. But like I don't think I'm playing any new season, or at least not intentionally playing any new season. I think I'm almost using the old season competitions as a way to win new season cards and then sell them on, and then just kind of have my gallery and play new season cards. And is that going to maximize the highest, return or whatever? I highly doubt it. But I'm more focused on, I think, like the collection side and getting a high bonus and having those cards for like multiple years. Whereas if you try to play new season, you're always going to have, at the end of the year, you're always going to have a 5% card that's really kind of worthless as far as playing the old season competition. So like having the OG old season card, I think gives you a little bit of an advantage there to try to win the new season cards, and then selling those to kind of fund. If I do go into like a new season competition, it'll be off the back of, having won a couple new season cards, sold a couple other new season cards, and then kind of building a stack of new season cards from there. But I think I'm almost viewing the new threshold as winning these like cards that are 2 and 5x what the actual price that I should be paying is, if that makes sense.
I agree with you, but I disagree with you like that. You shouldn't, like, I think everybody that can should aim for those in-season things, just that because that can basically, because it's crazy how much money is in those competitions. Like,
Right.
first
But
of all,
that
you have
drives the value of the new season card. Though.
yeah, I understand 100%. But bro,
Yeah.
like, I think if you win one of those, I think you get like 3,000. Like, there's not a single competition where you can win $3,000 at the moment. Even if you win Global All Star Plus and you win Mbappe, that's not $3,000, and especially that's $3,000 on the hand without having to sell Mbappe or whatever. So that's first of all crazy, and then people also forget you're not going to play against 3 seasons worth of Mbappes, but you're only playing against 1
True.
season worth of Mbappe. So it's gonna be easier to win this division
That's very true.
than the classical one.
Yeah.
No,
New-
because you can play you can play an old season Mbappe in there. So I'm not
Yeah,
buying
but
that.
still, but
People are going to use that on goalkeeper though.
yeah, most people.
No, you're
would
going to use on the
Goalkeepers are-
most
goalkeepers are
expensive
gonna
card.
bottleneck.
Yeah. You play your most expensive card. You're gonna play Mbappe's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, but then you were gonna play.
But you're only playing one Mbappe. You're not playing an
Exactly.
Mbappe Haaland
Wow.
stack.
It depends, doesn't it? Depends if someone has 3.
Well, no, but I'm
There's
saying
going to be
like,
people with 3. Oh, right. go on.
per lineup. Like now, I can stack
Fair.
Mbappe, Haaland. Like I can
Exactly.
just put up five cards together that are just unbeatable. You know what I mean? Whereas now you can only do one, which
Right.
it does lower the amount of like big cards. Now, obviously, Mbappe is a bad example, but like if you have Mbappe and Vinny, you can't play them both. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
In
it lowers
old
the
season.
Vinny at
Yes.
least.
Yes, you have to have the new Vinny at least, or the new
Of
Mbappe.
course. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
No,
that-
don't get me wrong. But the issue is, like Chris said, those cards, those new in-season cards are going to come with a massive premium because of that. You know, that's going to be
Right.
priced in, baby. Don't you worry about it.
So
For
can
sure,
I tell
but
you that
if you win, like, how much is Vinny now? £600. So that's probably gonna pay for winning £900 for the new one, probably 900, 950, something like that. Yeah. So if you win, you still make 3 Vinnies, and you still have your old season Vinny, your new
Right.
in-season
Getting
Vinny,
that
you
new
know?
goalie. Getting a new goalie isn't easy. Winning a new goalie isn't easy, guys.
Right.
and that's money.
Man, you get
That's the
goalies
most
now as
expensive-
tier 3s.
That's the hardest. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, but
But
they
not-
ain't gonna win
but
you.
not
They ain't gonna
goalies
win
that
you
are
things.
winning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
No,
like,
that depends. It depends. Goalies can always have a shitty again, super easy. Depends on the game week by goalie.
of course.
Like,
But you're not
like,
gonna play a
if-
dud with Mbappe, are you? Come on, like it's just not.
Those of us without talent,
Depends.
like me, of setting lineups, we need actual good cards. I can't pick a matchup to save my life. I need someone like Mbappe.
But that's the
Just does
thing
it
though.
every
Like
week.
everybody now needs good
For example-
cards, right?
For example, Van der Voort conceded against fucking Molenbeek. Nobody
he
would have
concedes
ever.
every game.
Yeah,
Every
but
game.
against
fella.
Molenbeek, you don't need to concede against Molenbeek. Same shit goes
He
with Diego
concedes.
Costa. Sometimes he concedes against.
But it's not his fault. You have a
Of
look in the
course.
last. He hasn't had a clean sheet for 8 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, because
6,
Genk is
7.
shit. That's true.
Right. 8 games he hasn't had a clean sheet for. He saved a penalty in that time, but no clean sheet.
But let's be real. Let's be honest. Normally you would think. Normally against Molenbeek, you would not play Van der Voort normally because you know he's shit at keeping clean sheet at the moment. But against Molenbeek, you would have played him in a way, you know.
Right.
So then you have your goalie.
You couldn't even play him with Mbappe. I'm sorry. He doesn't fit.
In
not in champ.
U23, he does. No,
Mbappe's not a
anymore.
U23,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, true.
Next year you will be able. Next year
Okay,
you will
but
be able to play Van
Van
der
der
Voort because he'll be at Leipzig. He'll be at Leipzig. So,
Yeah, true. Van der Voort. Let's see that because
but yeah, they
Conte
don't
is
keep
gonna
clean
loan him.
sheets either, baby.
Yeah.
So,
at least he's a
Like, at
champion
all.
card then.
right. Yeah.
Neither do any
Yeah,
of my
but-
goalkeepers. So.
Van der Voort's an interesting one. Like that's a good card to buy into in a weird way if Leipzig are good next year because like he's moving from
Yes.
challengers to champ and he's under 23. There's definitely something to like
Man, Josh
those type
Sargent.
of things.
Chris is gonna
Go on.
be happy to hear that. Josh Sargent is completely on fire since coming back from injury. He's
That's
banging
true,
goals left and right, like for real.
Arsenal are 4-0 up, by the way, guys. Can I just add? 65th
So-
minute.
This game week is high scoring, basically.
I think it's toast. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
It
I
was
have
tense
a lot
Friday
of
night.
DMPs
PSV.
already.
Yeah. PSV toasted us big time.
You want to know who didn't? Bakayoko had a 0.
Yeah, that was tough to see.
Love it.
Let me tell you guys what I think is going to happen, and tell me if there's
Mhm.
some merit, right? Because this is how I see everything playing out. Where I'm like, I think that there's too much like uncertainty and too many people kind of just like sitting on their hands right now, which is great, right? Like you should take time to develop a strategy, like figure out what you want to do. But the longer that happens, everything is going to start to bottleneck because everyone's going to want to buy the same players at the same time, and it's not going to go very well. And then take this where, look, everyone is mentally prepared to pay a premium for these new season cards, right? But no one really knows to the extent that premium is actually going to go, especially the beginning, because like this is a hard reset. Everything that we knew before just does not completely matter. Like everything is starting from scratch. So you're telling me that people are going to go, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to buy a new season. They're just going to astronomically go, and they're going to like, whoa, I can't do that. And they're going to pivot right back to classic, causing the same thing again because everyone's going to stumble over each other to completely try to get the same cards again because they were like, oh, wait, I'm not ready for this. I can't compete. I need to go compete. And if you can play that right to the point where you prepare for Classic now, do that, hope that everything does go to where they come back, you sell into that.
Yeah.
And then now you can afford new season.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, there's merit in that. I think. Yeah, there is definitely that element to it will happen. I think the biggest thing is, I think people have mentioned it already though, is I know it's easier said than done, but like keeping a bank balance.
It's hard.
It's hard.
And then how's that going to happen when MLS cash, tournaments start?
Right.
And they're like, there's all this cash. I'm not doing anything.
It's going into there.
I got
Yeah. So like, that's the thing. MLS is in a nice position, right? Because like, well, for Sorare, because those new in-season cards are the first of their kind outside of the Premier League.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, they're going to see the first rise of, they're going to be the only challenger in-season cards for a point, you know? So like,
and we're all degens.
So there's going to be a crazy FOMO, sort of premium on that. Them being their only thing, like the only ones out. That might die down after, like, we have the, August comes around and there's new in-season European cards to get our hands into, and stuff. So, like, but I think the MLS could see, like, crazy rises to where we're a bit like, hang on a minute, like you just said, Jorge, like, I'm not buying Heel for £1,000 if he's 300 quid over there. Like, I can't do that £700 jump. Never mind, like, okay, yeah, I might win £3,000 or whatever, but, like, but they have said as well on a bit of a tangent, like, there's like going to be like these special weeklies and stuff where like there's like MLS tournaments. There's rumors of like monthly MLS ones, maybe like you mentioned with the whole leaderboard. Not, I've just heard that thing discussed in sort of just as an idea thrown out into the ether, and like that could be fun. Like they've mentioned J League as well.
That's
so yeah, like a 50k J League tourney, a 50k MLS, or maybe 100k each, whatever it is, over a month, incentivizes you to buy 3-4 new season cards. And you're locked in, you're kind of locked in for that month. And it's not game week by game week, with the divisions. There's some cool things they can do for sure.
So I think eventually, this is going to equal out to how much realistically can I win in one season with a current season card, right? That sets the price of the current season. And then from there, it kind of trickles backwards to the current season cards, right? There'll be some sort of a premium, but I don't think we know the current season card price until we figure out what the new season card price is going to be. And we don't know that until we figure out how hard or easy it is to actually win real cash. So if you're looking at it from a, like, I'm going to buy this stack for current season to win cash, you got to see how much is that actually going to return, and that's going to set your price. And then everything else flows from there. So yeah, to Jorge's point, it is going to flow that way naturally. So if you're ready for the back half of that flow, it could be beneficial.
Yeah, because you saw it. Because like I play Rainmakers pretty heavy, right? And not to be like Sorare copy and pasted their homework, but they almost every new thing that they've implemented, they took from Rainmakers.
Really?
So I've done this for a year already. I played old season to win new season to win cash. I did it for a year. I'll tell you right now, my biggest mistake is not selling those new cards that I was winning like 4 or 5 cards a week. Because another thing, because the cash incentivizes people so much, the competition in the old season, I could win with my eyes closed. Like it's so like cards are cheaper. Like the cards aren't like the prices are never going to go up, but the competition is just not as heavy because everyone's so focused on cash that you can really clean up. And like, so the idea, the prime idea, and like the thing that I'm thinking of is go hard in classic very early on. Try, because everybody's going to be focused on cash, right? So that first 2-3 weeks, people are going to be underexposed anyway. So right now you have a chance to win big. And then when you do early on, you immediately sell into the crazy pump prices of new cards, because more than likely the card's not even going to be used for your strategy anyway. So you pump into that, and then you just wait for the dust to settle, and then you just pick up everyone's bits and pieces. And like, there is a way to do it. It's going to be a little weird, but everybody's mentality is going to have to shift, and it's going to take some time. Because my Rainmaker's gallery is like 3-4 times the size, but I didn't sell any of it, so right now it's kind of worthless. But if I would have sold into it, I would have done really well for myself. So I think there's a lot of like the look left when people look right. I think it's a little bit more to it, because at the end of the day, like people were like, oh, I already have classic cards. They're not going to do anything. They're going to leave them. They're going to be like, I'll just see what I can win with that. And if you actually take the time to focus on those competitions, I think there's like really an opportunity to set yourself apart and win big. So there's my rant.
No, it makes sense. The only pushback I have like is, how do we combat the 400 Vanakins in Challenger? Like, there's going to be 400 or however many Vanakins is on the platform right now. They're all going to play. We can do it with Kimmich as well if you want. It's a bit different with him because he can play in the Bundesliga tournament. So let's just do it with Challenger for now. Like, name your best Eredivisie, name your best, Belgium league player. Every single one of those cards of that player will be in Classic. Obviously, there's going to be some in season because, like we said, you'll play your most expensive in there as well. Yeah. If you're playing that competition, but if you're not, what do you do to like distinguish yourself? I think, there's going to be like some massive cards, but multiples of those cards in there. And I know we have it now, but it's because now we have the cap modes and we have the regions and we have the All-Star. We don't have any All-Star. So outside of under 23, you can't play, Vanakins won't be going into All-Star because that won't exist in August. So like, all 300 Vanakins are going to be chilling in Challenger or the Challenger region, basically. And it's just like, it's going to be tough. If he gets 100 the one week, you can just forget it if you're not in that 300, cohort, yeah?
But look at it this way. Out of those 300 Vanakins, how many of those lineups are throwaways? Because no priority is going to those because they're focused on the cash. Like, after you're like building out your lineups, like the classics almost like they end up being an afterthought, because especially as you start getting more and more new season, you don't even care about that. You're just focused on cash. So if you really focus on those and prioritize those competitions and find your edge and find the plays and find like the actual like pristine, like perfect SO5 lineup that week, you win rewards. And like, it's not even, you don't have to win every week because these cards are going to be selling at a premium. You don't necessarily have to top to still be able to like get a nice early return. Is like the way it is. Like, if you really focus up, and because like you got to think about it, like it all sounds like, I'm not going to do it. But like Fedo said it before, like you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not focusing up on that cash. And most people will do that. And I think for the people that maybe do that, like, sure, maybe I won't make as much, but I'll still do really well for myself without as much stress, at least easier than it is right now to win, because it's been hard.
I think there is a good point that Harry makes, though, about now this is not just a Champ America. This is going to introduce like the PSV stack. This is going to introduce, back in the day, the Zenit stack that was ridiculously unbeatable. You're going to have some of these teams that are just way better than other teams that they're playing against, especially on specific game weeks. And you're going to have to face, the Philly NYCFC game where they're both equally balanced. And right, that's why we love the league, to like bring it back to what we started at.
Yeah.
You're not going to have that mismatch, which is where you really get those hundreds and those, consistent.
Yeah, but you say the same thing. I mean, what's a weekend when the Kansas City Chiefs are playing the freaking Bears and Philly are playing some other like crappy team? Like, it's still lopsided anyway. So technically those stacks should still smash, but it just doesn't always work like that, Like, it's fun to think that, like, if I stick these 5 best players, but they're all going to smash perfectly, and in the NFL it's only the exact same lineup.
In the NFL, it's only 2 games, 3 games, so like you can have the random,
the whole
like
weekend.
The Chiefs are just but I'm saying in soccer, there's 50 leagues that are like that, right?
I mean, sure,
maybe not 50, but like there's at least 15 games each weekend that are just complete mismatches, right? Whereas there's probably 1-2 NFL games a week that are mismatches. Like you play that stack, but if that for some reason doesn't hit, it's not like there's another game that is going to hit. Like one of the 15 is going to hit. It happens.
Agree.
Fair.
It's going to be interesting to see because they're also going to be divided to the divisions. We have 5 divisions.
Is a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So
like you might not even find those Vanekins in Division 5. You know, that's the thing. Like
that's true.
If he's the best card in that region, you're not going to play him in your rubbish lineup, really, on paper.
Yes.
Let's just hope. Otherwise, the incentives and whatever. So like, maybe you don't even have to worry about him. That's the ideal world for the scenario. The ideal scenario for Sorare is that like all these smasher cards are somehow not involved with like the lowest players on the lowest players in the divisions. As far as like D5 players should need to worry about 100 from Vanaken, maybe. Like do you get what I'm saying? Like that needs to be like not a thought for them potentially somehow.
Yeah, but they need to they need to tweak the classic competitions every season as well and make them better in a way, because if they don't, in 5 years they're going to be unplayable, because the supply of all the 5 years has been there, and then you seriously don't have a chance. You know what I mean? So they have to revise them every single season again. If not, it's gonna collapse again in itself,
like stagnant and stale, kind of like it
was. Exactly. Yeah.
So get ready for another reset in a few years. Maximize this one now and get ready for the hard reset.
You play 5-year-old cards to win 4-year-old cards, to win 3-year-old cards, to win 2-year-old cards. Yeah, it's gonna be
Arsenal 5-0, guys.
Holy smokes!
Lord. We're done.
Well, good thing MLS starts next week.
Yep. I'll start setting lineups for next week.
Oh man, dude, this has been
Messi's
incredible.
back this midweek, by the way.
Messi is back. Marcel. Diego Luna versus Lionel Messi.
Yeah, but he's not
he'll
on
ask
the
for his
weekend.
shirt.
Which
he'll ask for his shirt, won't he? Surely.
Yeah, Messi will definitely ask for Luna's shirt.
100%. Right, I'll give you one guess. Who has just scored for Arsenal without knowing or without looking? I bet you none of you get it.
Martinelli.
No.
Saliba.
Their center back. That's really good.
No. The least informed Arsenal player, SO5 wise, ever.
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't give too much attention.
He's your nationality, Feder. He's your nationality.
Then Kai Havertz.
Kai Havertz.
Yes.
No.
The worst Arsenal player.
Kai Havertz had scored, we got problems.
I felt the Kai Havertz pain, okay? This was like prime Kai Havertz debauchery.
And if you can get the assister, I'll give you a $5 limited card.
Probably Toussaint.
Come on, Google.
No, he's off.
Come on, chat. Who's getting the $5 limited?
Chat, come on.
There's no. They'll probably know. But
oh yeah, they're all watching it. They're not watching.
They're on it. It's Jacob Kiwior. What a random assist.
Kiwior.
Kiwior, the left back.
The Polish guy. No, he's a centre back, I think, but he plays left back.
He is, but he plays left back. Left-footed to left-footed. Kiwior to Havertz.
Man, like Premier League.
Havertz.
A league I really don't care about.
It's an MLS thing. It's an MLS thing, man. Like, why watch the Prem when you can just watch the MLS?
Fuck the Prem.
No, I really, sincerely, some games are really good that I have to watch, but like in general, man, I hate that league. It's just money, nothing all.
Yeah.
Destroyed football, by the way. That league destroyed football.
That's a conversation for another podcast.
What?
MLS is bringing it back.
MLS is actually bringing it back.
True football.
Hey, we have
we
own football now. America
the problem
is
is
now.
It's gonna be very hard this year to watch MLS because I'm moving back to Germany, and then the time difference is really shitty. So the MLS games start at 2:00 in the morning. I probably won't catch many of those then.
Aren't they starting at different times this year?
Yeah,
they're playing at some afternoon games and stuff.
Especially the messy ones, probably, right?
Yeah. If I remember correctly, this Saturday, the first game is like Atlanta Columbus at like 3 p.m., which is going to be a banger.
That's a banger.
That is a
replay that playoff series, baby.
I think it's LAFC Seattle at 10 p.m. like 10 p.m. our time as well. So that's great. So I can watch it at 10. Yes,
first weekend.
Love it.
But dude, we're an hour and a half. This has been fantastic. Is there anything else you guys want to cover? Anything you guys feel like you need to let out before we get out of here? Or I think we covered a lot.
Let's bring it back. Let's
Close.
roll.
It's close, baby.
Roll it,
Close,
baby.
brother.
Thank you so much for everybody being here. You all know who you are. Go listen to Value of Talent. They are great. They are smart. We will have them back again. True MLS sickos, under 23s. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. And we'll catch you next time. Get those notifications rolling because MLS is starting, and that means we have a
Vamos.
lot of surprises coming for you. Just
Mhm.
saying.